Hi guys, welcome back to The Social Tune, and today we are finally going to talk about All-American Badass by Joey Badass.
Face facts, cause we know what's the real motives. In the land of the free is full of freeloaders. Leave us dead in the street to be the organ donors. They disorganized my people, made us all loners. Still got the last names of our slave owners. In the land of the free is full of freeloaders. Leave us dead in the street to be the organ donors.
So, Joey Badass, the rapper out of New York who has been praised so often and by so many people that I'm not really sure what to add. His breakout project Before the Money was a great album that was unfortunately overshadowed that year by other great rap albums like Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly or J-Rock's 90059. Now I will say that I still really do enjoy that album, especially great cuts like Paper Trails. But at the same time, I did feel that Joey was capable of more. This was a rapper with the skill and the critical clout to be able to rise to the level of a rapper like Kendrick, at least in terms of acclaim and respect within the industry. And reportedly, this album would be the one to do it, as it had him diving into much more political material. In fact, while I have reviewed albums that could be construed as political or that contain political elements, this would be my first review of an outright political album outside of maybe Sleaford Mods. So excited as ever, especially considering Damn had been pushed back, I decided to give it a listen. And as it turns out, it's great. Not quite as excellent or flawless as some people have been promising, but still pretty damn fantastic. An improvement over his last album, and one of the best hip-hop projects that I've heard all year. So let's start things off with the production.
For my people, trying to stay alive and just stay peaceful. So hard to survive, but we're so lethal. Who would take a stand and be our hero? Of my people, yeah.
So on his last album, the sound was very clearly influenced by the 90s. Here, well, it's interesting. The first half of the album is smooth and loose, much more accessible to new fans of Joey's music. And I'll be honest, I love so many of these instrumentals. The liquid funk touches on Good Morning America, the atmospherics that lead into the great drum and bass groove on Why You Don't Love Me Miss America, the great horns on Temptation, not to mention the pretty great vocal samples at the beginning and the end of that track. I don't care if it's manipulative, it's effective, and it helps drive home the message that this album is trying to convey. And then of course you have the bass and the echoing vocals that lead into the horns and liquid funk touches on Land of the Free. A song that I'm astonished more critics haven't praised. It's fantastic, one of the best ones here. Now the first half does have its weaker moments, as I didn't care for the sound on Devastated. Sure, compared to other people trying this sound, it's certainly better and at least he stays on topic. But it's just a personal preference, I didn't feel it belonged here. But then this album's second half switches things up entirely, as with the exception of the closer, Miss America, the smooth instrumentals that we've grown used to are replaced by much darker gangsta beats that are awesome. The haunting piano line and murky bass, with touches of guitar and multiple creepy sound effects on Ring the Alarm, the horns and bass touches on Super Predator, the real drums and horns with touches of piano on Legendary, the police sirens, gospel choir, horns and drums on Babylon, and then of course the highlight of the album that everyone and their mothers has talked about, Rockabye Baby. With the stalking bass, the unnerving piano line, and the pounding drums, it's a fantastic gangster rap song, and I absolutely loved it. And not just for the production, because yeah, let's talk about our performers.
I used to feel so devastated. At times I thought we never make it. But now we on our way to greatness. And all that ever took was patience.
Now we all know that Joey has a great, compelling voice that always commands your attention whenever he's rapping, and that hasn't changed. Especially when his vocals get more guttural on the more intense and visceral tracks here. But what really surprised me were the moments where he chose to sing his own hooks, because for the most part, I really did like it, as he handled the hooks on songs like Temptation, Land of the Free, and For My People. Now again, I didn't like his vocals on Devastated, where he just sounded like a Young Thug imitator. But even then, his voice was more clear than Young Thug's, you could at least make out what he was saying. But that does not mean that his guests are going to allow him to show them up. Chronix is great on Babylon as the only guest singer here, and all the others are just on their game. Styles P and J. Cole both hold their own against Joey on their respective songs. And while Meechy Darko really does bring a fantastic horror element with his voice on Ring the Alarm, Nyck Caution and Kirk Knight trading bars near the end of that track was just amazing. They really do steal the show. But no one could have matched Joey better on Rockabye Baby than Schoolboy Q, because this kind of production just works for him. And boy does he deliver. It's enough for me to wish that he would just stick to gangsta rap and leave all the conscious rapping behind. Or hell, just keep doing features like this. Either one works for me. But on the topic of conscious hip-hop, let's talk about the lyrics.
No sympathy for foes, my enemies exposed, but they remember me when I'm gone. I say rockabye, 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 baby. Shatta boy, shatta go crazy. Men no play games, so please don't play me. Look at what they made me.
Like I said on Twitter when I first heard this album, this is the most political album that I've heard all year. And on my first few listens, I could kind of understand why people were complaining that it felt a little too straightforward, with a lot of the songs going on about similar subject matter. But if you look closer, each of these songs, at least at the start of this album, do serve a purpose. After Joey gets your attention, waking you up, so to speak, on Good Morning America, he makes it clear on For My People that he feels responsible now, as he's in a position to deliver some real social commentary and make a real difference. Almost feeling like it's his responsibility, his duty, using superhero analogies to drive the point home. And then on Temptation and Why You Don't Love Me Miss America, he talks about the struggle of trying to get his message out there and get people to take him seriously, while the media and those in power are constantly demonizing him. Or the message of unity on Rockabye Baby, encouraging the Bloods and the Crips to band together in order to fight the real enemy. And sure, a lot of this has been said before by rappers like The Game, but A, his presentation is great, and B, it's not like the issues that he's bringing up no longer exist. And hell, he does bring some new insight to the table. Even though I wasn't wild about the song as a whole for containing just a few too many conspiracy theories, I did like that he pointed out not just the necessity to protest on American Idol, but also the subtlety and the care that they have to take while enacting it. Or how he points out the irony of the term Land of the Free on the track of the same name, considering black people were enslaved for decades and many are still afraid to express themselves for fear of what other people will think of them, meaning that they're still not free. Or take super predator, which doesn't just take that terrifying term that certain politicians would use to describe African Americans to apply to the government itself and the way they're constantly pursuing the black community, but also how the more gangsta and street his raps become, like most of the second half of this album, the more people will likely view him as a threat, which will make it even harder for him to get his message out. And yeah, there's also that weird dissonance between the first and the second half of this project, but it does make sense, with the softer, more gentle first half making you aware, preparing you for the more forceful rhetoric and the call to real active change on the second half. So in the end, it took me a couple of listens, but I enjoyed the hell out of this. It's ridiculously fun, well produced, and has some truly powerful moments. And I really hope that Joey gets lots of new fans from this, because he definitely deserves it, and the message that he's trying to get across is so important. So for me, it's a strong 8 out of 10. Great job, Joey. I'm looking forward to more. So, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts on this album, please post them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And if there are any other albums coming out in the next month or so, please post them in the comments or tweet them at me at @thesocialtune, link in the description. Please subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and until the next time, I'm Finn, and this is The Social Tunes, signing off.